Good? All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alan Smith. I am the Deputy Commissioner for the Atlanta Department of Transportation. Behind me are some of my key staff members, and we understand that you would like to talk to us a little bit today about snow and ice. So we would gladly open it up for any questions that you might have, and we'll be glad to answer them. Yeah, last year was definitely an anomaly, to say the least. We had one storm, and I believe within a week or two we had another one right after that. But we are glad that we were prepared then, and we handled that storm and the following storm very well. You know, every year we actually prepare and plan for snow and ice year-round because our goal is to be fully staffed and prepared from an equipment standpoint, a material standpoint, a staffing standpoint, well ahead of any winter weather. And so we're doing the same thing this year. We're making sure that we have the right equipment in place. We're making sure that we have the adequate staffing levels in place. We're making sure that we have contractor support in the event that we do have a similar situation like we did earlier this year. Sure. So the good thing is that we really have some great partners with the National Weather Service and other forecasting methods. What that allows us to do is get a really good feel of what's to come. Earlier this year, we were able to get out ahead of the storm and actually use what's called a brine application. Basically, it's just a saltwater solution that lets us pre-treat the roads. So when the snow actually does fall, it has a little bit harder time actually freezing over. That really helped us because once the snow did fall, we were able to get out with our salt trucks and really stay on top of the event. And so if by chance we do have another event like that, we'll do the same thing. So currently we have 11 salt trucks on hand, and we actually have 9 brine trucks. We also have some contractor support. We have 2 vendors that we can call if needed to bring in additional resources. Yes, so we don't handle interstates. So GDOT handles all of the interstates. We handle our priority 1 routes and our priority 2 routes within the city, which basically are our main thoroughfares. If we do have an event that lasts a little bit longer, I believe the second event earlier this year lasted a little bit longer than we expected, and so we will treat the priority 1 routes and the priority 2 routes, and then we start getting into the local streets to give those residents some relief also. Yeah, so snow is a little bit easier to deal with. Ice is a little bit harder. The good thing is that we keep the same approach. We always want to have a pre-treatment phase if we can. Like I said, if we can get out ahead of the storm and pre-treat the roads to just make it a little easier and less likely for anything to freeze over, we will do that. A lot of times down here in Atlanta, we get freezing rain a lot of times, and that can be a little troublesome. But we're always going to try to pre-treat the roads ahead of time and then start our salting operation once the event actually starts happening. Yeah, our advice is if you don't have to be on the roads, please don't be on the roads. I know a lot of times people might, want to take a chance, maybe go to that grocery store at the last minute or, go make a quick errand. Our advice is to, watch the forecast, prepare for the worst, maybe stock up on some supplies, some groceries, because the weather can change at the drop of a dime. And before you know it, you might find yourself in some slick situations. So if you can stay home, please, please, please stay home because it makes our job a little bit easier because, we're facing the same conditions that you are out there. So if we're sliding around, you're sliding around, it just makes it a little bit more difficult for us to do our job. We yeah, we were. For those that don't know, we were previously part of the Public Works Department. And so we actually adopted and integrated and took with us the same plans, a lot of the same staff and historical knowledge with us when we came to Atlanta DOT. And we still partner with Public Works. We also partner with our watershed management team to help us out, as needed. And so, we're all one city, and we're going to all pitch in and do what we can to make sure it's a successful event. Yes, we are. It just makes things a little easier. We can focus more on the transportation aspect of what we do, which is safety, making sure people can traverse the city safely. It is a little bit easier to do business being our own department. Sure. So brine is just a fancy word for salt water. We use a salt water mix, which, not to get too technical, but it comes down to about 23.3% salinity. I know that's very technical, but basically it's just a salt water mix. And what we can do with that is we apply a thin layer on the road. We can do that about 72 hours ahead of any storm, and it basically cures. So sometimes you might see a white film on the roads. You might ask yourself, what is that? That's dried or cured brine. And we can do that about 72 hours ahead of any event. And then once the event starts, we then start our salting operation. Yeah, we've had some initial conversations with the National Weather Service. Obviously, it's a little bit far out right now as we go into the colder months of January and February. And so we're staying in contact with them. Obviously, the closer that it gets to a storm, where it's more accurate. And so we're just staying ready. We'll be ready for anything that the weather might throw at us. And so we're monitoring and we're speaking with them regularly. Yeah, so behind us right here is good old-fashioned salt. This is basically the bread and butter of the operation. We make our brine with it. We also treat our roads with it when we move over to our salting operation. So we have salt strategically placed in various parts of the city just to give us some redundancy in our operation. This is our main hub. Right now you are at 1150 North Avenue where we have a good bulk of our salt. But this is how we get it done behind us. We do. We have 4 other locations. Yep. Yeah, so we have a baseline budget that we, each year as far as materials, staffing, and equipment that we definitely don't go below. We do have resources if need, if we see that the weather is trending in a non-favorable fashion that we can tap into. But there is a baseline that we maintain just to make sure we have basic operations met. Yeah, I would just say to the residents of the city, number one, I want you to know that like every year in the past 3-4 years, I think we've done a great job responding to winter weather, so you can count on us to continue that moving forward. Stay vigilant when it comes to communication. We have a wonderful communications team that will keep the public abreast of any changes in the weather or any safety concerns or notifications that we might need to send out. Social media, you can find us on all the social media outlets to really know what is happening with us real time and what events may be coming up. And so, yeah, that's what I would say during this winter season. I would say if I had a crystal ball, I would have said somebody, let us know earlier that we'll be having another event, within a week's time. But no, it's in all seriousness, I think we did a great job. Weather is one of those things that it changes at the drop of a dime. It's predictable until it's unpredictable. And so again, we'll be ready regardless of what happens this winter season. And I just want everybody to know they can rest assured. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Alan Smith, Deputy Commissioner, City of Atlanta, Department of Transportation, Maintenance.
Okay, I'm ready for you, sir.
Sunday and Monday of this coming weekend and early next week. It looks absolutely gorgeous out there. Finally, we are in a morning where we have a mostly sunny start. In fact, on this airport camera view, we're looking south across the runways and across the airport, and it is a very, very sunny start to this now Thursday morning. Good morning, Isaac here. We're going to talk about the forecast a little bit and go into the weekend and talk about the first alert weather days coming up, because we have a bit of an up and down pattern before we get to the really cold stuff Sunday and Monday. But this afternoon we're going to be cooler than yesterday, and this morning at least it is not as windy as it was yesterday. We had several hours Wednesday with gusts over 30 miles per hour at the airport, and we can thank this high pressure system to the west that you see on the screen that's over Louisiana getting a little closer to us, and that's going to help relax the winds just a bit. So maybe a little breezy at times today, but not nearly as bad as yesterday. I want to get you to the national travel forecast, kind of looking across the country before we hone in on North Georgia. Not too bad. Earlier this morning, LaGuardia Airport had some weather issues, I think, but otherwise, I don't see any major storm systems that would disrupt travel, at least across the country in terms of air travel today. Certainly in the southeast, we're nice and dry here in Georgia and surrounding spots. Still tracking a big cold blast. So the worst of this is coming into the northern states. We're still seeing signs of Chicago, Minneapolis, those spots kind of getting in the wind chill category of minus 20 to 30, which is not unheard of for those folks to the north, but it is certainly something that is still intense. The red line here that you see on the screen is the freezing line, and check this out on Sunday morning. It's going to be north of Atlanta, but already in Georgia. The timing of Sunday's cold arrival will mean the difference between maybe a little bit of a bearable morning and then just cold all day. That's what we're kind of looking at. But one way or another, it looks like that the warmest part of Sunday's forecast is going to be the morning hours, and then we are going to see a much colder setup by Monday. You can see that freezing line all the way to the coast. So definitely invading the eastern half of the country. But again, the core, the worst of this cold is kind of moving more east than it is south. So we're going to get a brief but intense piece of it, but I am not seeing big signs that this is going to be historic in any way, but it is something that will be a bit of a shock. It's going to be brutal cold and brutally windy out there. Temperature outlook into next week, though, kind of looking past Monday, kind of looking toward the middle of next week, we have warmer air building, and this could actually spill into Christmas week, and we're going to talk more about that coming up tomorrow for sure. As we kind of get a little bit closer to that Christmas week, we can kind of talk a little bit more about kind of that medium range forecast. Today, though, we have lots of sunshine. It's going to be in the 50s, only 51, though. Yesterday, we got to 59. Today, it's only 51, so it is going to be a bit cooler, and we are going to be about as cold as we were this morning, mostly speaking. We have lows tonight ranging from 27 in the mountains to about 35 here in the city. Outlying spots right around freezing, so still below average, but still not too bad. And tomorrow is going to be a really nice day, 64 degrees, lots of sunshine is in store. We're looking at just plenty of sunshine, start to finish, and highs several degrees above average for this time of the year. And that's going to continue into the weekend. Saturday, mostly sunny and even warmer, potentially 65 degrees for Saturday afternoon if you're doing some shopping, if you're doing some things outside. Friday and Saturday are your days, because Sunday is not going to be a day I think you want to be outside much. It's going to be temperatures dropping, breezes picking up, and cold air pushing in. We've got a first alert weather day because this cold is a little bit kind of next level stuff coming in. We've already been seeing kind of some cold mornings for sure, but this is kind of on another tier. So that's the reason that we have that first alert weather day coming up Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and into Monday morning. So this is a look at wind chill, 6 p.m. on Sunday, 24 degrees in Atlanta. And again, it gets worse before it gets better. 11 degrees. This is probably kind of a worst case scenario in Atlanta. Single digits in the outlying spots. It's certainly a possibility. And we'll be hovering in the single digits to low teens throughout the night into Monday morning. So this is going to be at least a 12-hour window where we see wind chills below 20 and possibly closer to 10 degrees. So getting out Monday morning is going to be very hard to do because of that wintry, icy wind that's coming in. Now, thankfully, the air is dry, so we're not looking at wintry precipitation, but we're just looking at wintry air coming in. And with the strong cold front, we are going to see a brief opportunity for rain. That's coming up on Sunday morning. So the front gets here Sunday morning at some point after midnight, and we see some showers possible during the early morning hours, and then we're going to see chances for rain diminish quickly. This is not a rainmaker. This is a cold weather maker that's pushing in. And you can see the lines on the screen there, those are isobars. Basically, those are lines of equal pressure. And when they are close together like this that you see on the map, that indicates very strong wind gust potential. So Sunday's winds will be probably similar to what we had yesterday, 30 to 35. But when the temperature's 35 degrees, that makes it a bit more unbearable out there. As we look at the Super 7-day forecast, we have a bit of a different setup here. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, notice the high is lower than the low. So we expect the warmest part of the day I mentioned to be early Sunday. Probably the high temperature in the 24-hour time span is going to be at 12:01 a.m. Sunday morning. And then we're going to see temperatures fall steadily through the day. That 40 is kind of an average. I think Sunday afternoon, it's a pretty good bet that we'll be seeing temperatures by then in the 30s. Regardless, we're going with 24 for an average low Monday morning. Outlying spots, I think, have a pretty good shot to see teens. 44 for the high on Monday afternoon. And then we get a brief reprieve, or not just a brief reprieve, but the cold I mentioned is brief in nature. We are looking at highs in the 50s starting up Tuesday, and by next Wednesday we could be seeing highs in the upper 50s with a small chance at rain again. So brief but intense cold, but it's not looking too bad, other than that, again, about a 12 to 18 hour stretch of some pretty intense cold. Other than that, we're looking pretty smooth sailing going forward here as we look into the future. I mentioned some Christmas warm-up is not out of the question. We're still that's kind of beyond the 7-day forecast, so that is TBD for sure, but that's something that we're going to continue to watch our model trends on very closely and watch our models over the next few days to see if they continue to trend in that direction, or if they continue to maybe back off a little bit. December can be a wild temperature month around here, and we're going to continue to watch things closely. So here's a 7-day forecast. Full screen out there with highs in the 60s in tomorrow and Saturday. And then we have those first alert weather days coming up Sunday and Monday. So that's something that we'll be watching very closely and keeping you very closely posted here on ANF Plus and inside the First Alert weather app. Thanks for joining us.
Stay up to date on your latest weather from the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast. Download the First Alert weather app for hour-by-hour forecasts and join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. on ANF Plus. You can also text weather to the number on your screen, and we'll send a link directly to your cell phone.